Now, to make your beats, melodies, whatever you're making sound way more professional, so you want to make professional, high quality sounding beats, but you don't know where to start. Well, look no further. I'm going to walk you through everything you need to do to actually come out with a professional and good sounding beat at the end of it. So here's what you need to do. So the first thing that I see a lot of people just struggling with to get a professional sounding beat is they don't come into the project knowing what they want to do. And how are you going to make something that sounds good and cohesive and just put together if you don't know where it's starting? So me, like right now, I'm thinking, okay, I want to make some fast, I want to make something trap, maybe along like a Nardo Wick or a Little Baby type of vibe. But you know what? I haven't done anything with triplets in a while. I'm gonna mess around with triplets a little bit. I'm kind of liking what we're doing here. I didn't go with the fast vibe, and this is what I mean. The vision's got to change. You got to be a little malleable. So now, like, this is just technically like a 1 chord just arpeggiated, and this is the 6th chord now. You know what I mean? Like, this is the danger of the 1/6 progression. Now, a lot of people, they really think that a professional sounding beat just kind of comes down to the mix, but it does. You know, a lot of professional sounding beats, they're just leveled. There's not much going on in the mix. So it really kind of comes down to your sound selection as well. Like, you need to pick good sounds, and if you have bad sounds, you need to treat them right. Oh, yeah. What? That's kind of clean. Yo, this is like Hogwarts, Harry Potter, Hagrid's at my door, but that's how you know it's a good beat. What if we reverse it and then reverse it? This is like my own personal thing for making beats that just sound a little cooler, a little more professional, and that's just rendering things out and messing around with them like a sample. Like, you can make cool MIDI patterns, but the real sauce, the real magic happens when you start messing with stuff like samples. And this can just kind of like turn my little idea that I thought, yeah, this was a pretty mid idea, into something pretty cool. Slow it down. Okay, I'm here for that. I like the slowed down version. We need to throw in a little bit more because we're kind of missing a lot. This is like a really cheeky point, but I personally believe that professional sounding beats, a lot of it kind of comes in with things like layering or adding in textures or adding in ambience or just any kind of sound that just isn't just, oh, here's a piano, here's a guitar. You know what I mean? I just want to add some effects to this because I want to like bring out some of those harsh sounds. Let them cook. That's all I gotta say. I say this all the time, but you want to add some depth to your melodies, because another thing that really takes your beat to a professional level is having the frequency range actually filled out a little bit more. It's gonna sound a lot more full, and it's gonna sound a lot better in general. It's nasty. Now, to make your beats, melodies, whatever you're making sound way more professional, is you want to use your bread and butter tools. This is just something I'm kind of making up myself, but your EQ is one of your bread and butter tools, and you kind of want to cut out frequencies and just things you don't want. I have an entire video about using EQ and just how to use it better, pretty much from a mixing standpoint. You can check that out up above. Another quote-unquote bread and butter mixing kind of thing you want to do sometimes. You don't need to do it all the time, but it's adding a little bit of reverb. Like, you want to be very like, sprinkle of salt kind of with it. Like, you don't need to drip it out in reverb, just a dash. Now, the thing that's gonna really take your beats to that next step up is going to be adding in textures. They can sound very different depending on what you're making. It could just be like a little tweet sound in the back, like a bird, you know? Adds a lot of flavor to your beat, a lot of depth, just a lot of grit, a lot of goodness. I like to do is I like to line this up because it's never lined up nicely. Now, I find with a lot of melodies, a lot of beats, you need to add something that drives it forward and adds energy. And this is what I'm talking about when I'm saying add drive. This is one of those things that's just very crucial for a song, for a beat, especially a professional sounding one. And it can be all sorts of things, just something that moves it forward. Throw OTT on strings, please. It sounds so good. Another thing you want to keep in mind when you're making your little 8-bar loop, to have a professional sounding beat, you need to have variation. It doesn't have to get crazy. Like, you don't need entire different sections. You just need some semblance of, okay, here's something completely different, but also the same. Something that separates those professional beats from the unprofessional beats is the fact that they just use ear candy. You can use a pad, you can use an ARP, you can just use simple things like that just to add in a little nice piece of ear candy. It sounds good, it fills up some empty space, and it's not complicated. Like, it's just, you throw a pad. Now, I'm not going to use the full chord. I'm just going to use kind of the spaced out version of the chord because it's going to sound a lot more powerful here. I don't want some of these high frequencies just because they don't sound what I want. Quick little pro tip, but if you want to add some texture to pads as well, you can just throw on gross beat and some little automation with it. Now, I said you need to use good sounds. This is especially important with your drums, because if you're just using bad drums, your drums are going to sound bad. As the old saying goes, you can polish a turd as much as you want, but it's still going to be a turd. You want to make room for your drums as well, so you got to go into the mix, just cut out some low frequencies if there's some clashing going on. And something you can do just to kind of keep that low end when the drums aren't playing is you can automate that EQ. I'm gonna do like a little roll with the snare here. Something that you really got to keep in mind when you're making a beat that actually kind of sounds professional is you have sound selection with intention. You need to find sounds that you want to use for a reason you want to use it. So right now I'm looking for a sharp snare. Now please, if you were trying to make a professional beat, don't just stop doing your drums with an 808 hi-hat and snare. There's a lot more to drums outside of that, and it adds a lot of bounce and flavor. What you need to do to make your beat sound professional and like it's ready for a rapper to hop on is you need to leave space for an artist. And that means just don't get too crazy or carried away with your drums. Like, have a rhythm, but don't do too much.